Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. Unfortunately, due to some commitments, I'm not going to be able to do my live show tonight, Comics Today. Instead, I thought that I would record this video to accomplish a couple of things. First and foremost, we are going to take a look at some comments that have been left on videos over the last week or so. This is actually something that I wanted to get to last week during Comics Today, but ran out of time. And I also am going to announce the winner of the short box giveaway. This is a giveaway that we do every single month in which we give away a $100 credit to some lucky viewer who leaves a substantive comment behind. I would definitely encourage you to Google the word substantive to make sure that when you leave a comment behind, it is indeed that. With that said, let's go ahead and get to some of your comments that have been left on videos released here on the channel, and I will be not giving the names of certain people to protect the innocent. This is a comment that was left by Evan on a video, most purchased comics this year. He says, "Hey Reggie, I used to be a regular viewer and then I lost interest in comics after I sold my collection. I had every appearance of Moon Knight and had accomplished, or I guess achieved, my grails by getting the books that I wanted, only to sell off my entire collection. I'm wanting to get back into collecting, but the books have now doubled in price than when I first started. Do you have any advice regarding collecting again after cashing out of the hobby?" My advice to Evan and to anyone else would be the same. Do not ever sell your comic book collection if you can help it. If you do not need the money, do not sell your collection, because life is a long time, hopefully, right? If you're doing it right, life is a long time and you never know what life will bring you. Even though your interest in collecting may wax or wane over time, by not selling your collection, you make it available if you happen to wax back in the direction of collecting. The challenge with selling off your collection typically is that the books that you really want when you come back will be more than what you paid for them maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years before. And that's really a steep hill to climb in my mind. I struggle with going back to redo things when I've already done them. And so I would say do not sell off your collection. But with that said, if you do happen to sell off your collection, I would say be smart about the books that you pick up the next time around, right? Be a little more strategic, get the grade that you really want versus simply settling for having the book back in your collection. That would be the two-part advice that I would offer Evan and anyone else out there. So the next question comes from the pastor, and he writes, "Quick question, what does the census have to do with price? I'm not understanding how that factors in." This was a question that was left on a video in which I did not go into a lot of detail on the points that I was making around census counts. It comes down to supply and demand to some degree. I like to have some awareness and understanding of the available supply out there for a graded comic. How many overall copies are there on the census? How many overall 9.8s are there? How many 9.6s? What is the value delta between the 9.8 and the 9.6? What is the overall percent of the graded books at a 9.8? These are all factors that I want to understand, because it helps me to figure out, do I want to spend a crazy amount of money for a 9.8 when 50, 60% of the books that are graded are actually a 9.8. More than likely, that's a modern book. I like to look at the data to understand what I should buy, how much I should spend. Is this a book that is worth adding to the collection? What you might find is that there are some books out there that have really low census counts. And as a result of having a really low census count, for older books probably more than likely, the prices tend to be a little bit higher. That's an interesting tidbit to know. So you want to take in as much data as you possibly can so that you can make more informed decisions about where, when, and how you spend your hard-earned money. So the next comment comes from Warren, and he writes, "You say the 3,300 census count is high, but you go to a comic convention and you see 70,000 collectors. 3,300 or 3,800 is not that many for the amount of collectors that are out there." This comment from Warren is not a bad comment, but it's not accurate, right? If you go to a con and you see 70,000 people, those people are not all collectors, right? If you just take a step back and look at the crowd, you can see for yourself that that crowd is made up of a lot of different types of people. You have exhibitors that are there, people that are basically there to work the booth. You have reporters and YouTubers that are attending that session or attending the con in order to basically work it, right? They are there to capture content. They may be attending the sessions in Hall H so that they could write up their articles for whatever website they work for or release content for their YouTube channel or Twitter or whatever it happens to be. You have a lot of reluctant spouses in that group that are there against their will, but might be attending to support their significant other. You also have a lot of children that are in attendance. There are, people that are there for anime and a large number of cosplayers that never actually, collect comics, but they're into comics kind of sorta. So no, there are not 70,000 collectors that are attending a con that all will have the exact same interest in a specific book at a specific grade. It is just factually inaccurate. The other thing is we actually don't really know how many comic collectors are out there. I have not seen any recent data that gives us any indication of how many people are actively buying or collecting comics. It would be awesome to see that data, but I haven't seen it. So there was another comment here. Let me see if I can find it. The comment is from BMLA88. It says, how do you protect yourself when selling on eBay? And this is an interesting question because in the question, it is almost saying there is some danger in selling on eBay. And if you've paid attention, there is some danger with selling on eBay with all types of scams that people run when they buy comics and, don't pay or open claims and all of this other kind of stuff. And you lose the money and the comic. There is some danger in that, no doubt about it. I personally do not sell on eBay. I sell on my own website because I have the ability to do that. Not everyone does. What I would say to you is if you have some concerns with selling on eBay, potentially you don't sell on eBay. Maybe you find a different platform that is more favorable to comic book collectors, and that platform could be the Shortbox app. This is not a bad way to go. They historically have sold graded comics, both CGC and CBCS, but recently expanded into giving people the ability to sell raw books as well. This comment from BMLAA, why not sell on the Shortbox app? You can download it using a link probably in the description of this video. Check it out. And to that point, let's go ahead and announce the winner of the $100 credit from Shortbox. Again, it's a giveaway that we do every single month when people leave a substantive comment behind. I hope I win. It's not a substantive comment. Not at all. But this month's winner is Jury Singh. Jury Singh, I think that I'm pronouncing that correctly. His comment was, I was surprised to hear some of these comics in the top 10. A lot of them are newer comics. That is a great observation that is actually related to the topic of the video. So Jury Singh is the winner for this month. Send me an email to reggie@regiecollects.com with all of your contact information. Hopefully you are in the service area, if you will, of Shortbox. So if not, I do have a backup winner by the name of Daniel Davis, who may also win. He left a substantive comment about X-Men 4 on the video. But Jury Singh, make sure you send me an email and we will get you taken care of. All right. So moving back to some of the comments here. The next comment comes from Philtastic, and he writes, I don't get why X-Men 4 has been so popular. We've gotten little to no word on Omega Red popping up on film. Yes, he's in a deleted scene of Deadpool 2, but who knows why he's sought after. He's good in the current X-Force run, but before that, he's been beaten every time he's popped up since X-Men 4. This comment was left on a video comics people are buying right now, and I think that Philtastic is spot on. There have been a lot of surges and spikes in interest of Omega read. This is a comic, his first appearance, X-Men issue 4, that has popped up repeatedly time and time again, whether it be on, the most submitted list or the most sold list. This book continues to pop up. There is no concrete evidence that anything will ever really happen with this character. Now, with that said, this is not a bad character, right? This is not a bad character, but I would encourage folks to take a look at the census counts. Look at how many copies of this book are out there, and make sure if you are buying this book that you are spending an appropriate amount of money on it. Do not spend crazy money. What's funny is that around Phil's comment, there was another comment from someone that says that they actually picked this book up during one of these spikes, one of these surges in interest, and actually overpaid for the comic. They bought into the FOMO, they overpaid, and now they recognize that they've lost a lot of money. I think they're still happy with their purchase, but why buy a book at an inflated price when you can get that exact same book at a much lower price by being a little more patient? There was a video that I released about, I think this was the one about Flash potentially being a flop, and there was a comment that was left by Joke Man. He says, as evidence for why this movie did not do well, he says, keeping Ezra, removing Cavill, then acknowledging none of these movies matter till after Aquaman. Warner Brothers keeps making the wrong decision after wrong decision. They looked at Black Adam wrong. The fact that it even broke even was purely because Cavill was in it. They broke even without a release in China. They should have looked at that as a win. If this movie opened up as a crisis event, it would have made money. Give the Snyderverse a solid goodbye, then reboot. I don't necessarily want to argue with him. I think he makes some good points here. Definitely sound off in the comment section if you agree or not with Jolt Man, but thanks to him for leaving this comment behind. Mr. Comic 89 left a good comment. He says, my question is, when are we getting a signing event in Colorado? He is specifically talking about a signing event for Isolation. As I pointed out to him, all I need is a sugar daddy or sugar mama that will fly the entire team to Colorado, and we will absolutely do a signing. He didn't seem interested in taking on that role. There was another comment here that I think was a really good comment. And I think this person, when I responded to them, understood what I was saying. Context and words matter. And that was basically the point that I was making to this person when they left this comment. They said, and this is but 3932. He says, Ultimate Fallout will be the next generation of Amazing Fantasy 15. I feel as though Miles will be around for a long time. That comment is not necessarily a bad comment, but in the backdrop, there is a lot that is swirling about that makes that comment potentially hard for people to acknowledge. He's not saying it, but people may hear Miles Morales is replacing Peter Parker. That is not the case. Miles Morales, in my mind, is a well-written character that is three-dimensional, that can stand on his own 2 feet, even though he has some overlap with Peter Parker. He is not a replacement for Peter Parker. I personally do not see Miles Morales ever replacing Peter Parker. I also do not ever see Ultimate Fallout 4 becoming as valuable as Amazing Fantasy 15, and that isn't what is said here, but that could be what people hear. I do not see that happening. Look at the census counts, right? Look at the census counts. Think about the history of Amazing Fantasy versus Ultimate Fallout. They are not the same. They should not be compared. I find that to be dangerous ground. Allow these two awesome characters to exist separate from one another. Comparing them, I just think is dangerous. I do again believe that Miles Morales is an amazing character. I think that Sony and Marvel are investing heavily into this character. They are putting him in Scholastic's books. And so, yes, the next generation will absolutely have an affinity for Miles Morales. It will be for them nostalgic as they get a little bit older. And yes, the value of Ultimate Fallout 4 will probably go up. Right now, I think it's around $1,900. In the past, it's been as much as $3,000. Back in the day, it was $90. Will it go up? Will it return back to $3,000? Yeah. Could it creep up to $4,000? Yeah. Will it ever be Amazing Fantasy 15? I do not think so. With that said, we're going to wrap this video up. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, I definitely encourage you to give the video a thumbs up. If you want to reach out to me, you can do that on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yeah. Should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan. Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms of pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You fly and we waiting. Indian style in the gold.